Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Horizon podcast, episode 11. I'm so excited that I've broken 10 episodes. It really feels real, like this is something that's just going to keep happening, and I appreciate all the support. If you haven't already subscribed, go to the YouTube channel, pick your favorite place to listen to audio podcasts, subscribe to Beyond the Horizon. It helps us get the message out there. It'll help you stay in tune with these conversations if they're helpful to you, and I would just so greatly appreciate it. So, I have really been learning a lot through this series of episodes, and I'm really looking forward to others who are going to be on here. So I do want to throw it out there. Give me some recommendations. If you're following the Instagram profile or on YouTube, throw some comments out on there. Who would you like to see interviewed? And if you have a connection to them, please share that connection, make the introduction. I'm looking for quality people we can interview, and I'm scheduled out through probably the next 4 or 5 weeks and looking to keep that calendar full. So anyways, totally appreciate it. This morning, you're just going to get me, and I really just want to talk about something that hopefully is like thought-provoking and gets you pondering, and then how you take it from there. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, but I want to propose a question to you that was proposed to me. And when I heard this question, first off, my thought was like, I didn't know how to answer, but it's always stayed there. Okay. So here's the question. How long is a rope? Or how long is a rope? Well, I don't know. How long is a rope? Some rope or string, it might only be this long. If you're listening to this, this is probably, 8 inches of twine right here. Some rope is only this long. But another piece of rope could be really long, and you don't even know exactly where it ends. And there's different reasons for different lengths of rope. The reason I asked the question is, parallel that, how long is a season? What kind of season, Matt? Seasons in life. How long does a season last for? Well, it's unknown. You don't really know until you look back and you say, wow, that season lasted this long. Some seasons are really healthy. We love them. We appreciate them. We never want them to end. We look back and cherish them and wonder if we'll get another season like that again. And some seasons suck. They're hard. They're challenging. They're full of grief and sadness and just complete misunderstanding, anxiety. Like, they're tough, challenging times. And those too, you look back and you say, well, man, that was a season. I got something out of it. And like this rope, when I ask how long is a piece of rope, different lengths of rope, different thicknesses of rope are going to have different purposes. I think seasons in our life also contribute to the future part of our life. So this idea of being able to see beyond the horizon or think out beyond the horizon, I was thinking about that question. And some seasons in our life are seasons that they're going to end up passing for sure. And we already kind of know how long they'll last. Things like childhood. But childhood lasts shorter and longer for some people. There are some kids have to grow up way too fast. I saw a little video this morning on Instagram, and it was talking about being the oldest of the siblings and how you tend to grow up the fastest. You tend to want to protect your sibling from things. You tend to want to show them the way, be the example. And you just automatically tend to grow up a little bit faster. There's seasons of school. Natural, kind of progression through society. We go to school until we're in high school, and then we choose if we want to continue to go further than that. And some people are professional students. It seems like they'll just go to school the rest of their lives. And others of us are not traditional school students, but we're students of the craft that we have. And so I guess what I really want to thought provoke is, if you're in a season right now, we're all in a season. But if you're in a season right now, really paying attention to if it's a season that you want to last longer, what are the things that are contributing to that season? And if this is a season that you're really praying to God and saying, I'm ready for winter to be over, right? I need that next season to shift, that you look and analyze and say, what is the purpose of this season in my life? You have some seasons that last a long time. Like in the Bible, I think the Israelites had 400 years before they were delivered from that season they were in. Joseph had 13 years before he saw himself come out of the season that he was facing. And so, anyways, when it comes to seasons, it's this idea that it kind of goes without saying, this too shall pass. And I know for me specifically, I look back on my life, and there, you have all these different types of seasons, but if I'm really being honest, the season I'm in right now it might be the first time that I'm in the midst of it and really looking up, looking inward, and asking the question, what's the purpose of the season? Because I don't think it happens by accident. And the process I'm going through, it's been eye-opening. There's been a lot, and the season, I would say at this point, is like 2 years. 2 years of a season that, if I broke it into like smaller periods, came back from being on the road and really needed to buckle down and do some intense repair on the business, but simultaneously I was so shell-shocked for like 6 months that I didn't even know where to start, what to do. I was like in a fog. And that micro season, like literally, was probably 6 months of just wondering, what's wrong with me? How do I get out of this? Why do I feel like, now looking back, I was depressed, but I didn't even know what that meant really, or how that felt. But I was just like going through the motions, faking the smiles, the laughs. Probably truly the only thing I was enjoying during that season was my kids. My wife and that was a challenging season. We grew a lot. We're so tight, but in the midst of it, it sucked. And I'm not going through the exact same, I said it's 2 years. That was like 6 months, but the season I've been in is working towards making decisions in the business, watching those decisions pan out, and then realizing that it's not moving in the direction that we needed it to, and then having to go back and readjust again. And it's really been a season of figuring out how to operate a business, how to manage expenses, people, outcomes, vendors, contracts, existing customers, like where to put time and energy, how to not get spread too thin, how to hold people accountable, how to keep the vision going. Like there's all these things that have been happening, but it's a 2-year mark now of me feeling like not everything I touch turns to gold. And as I go through and really analyze, like, why has it been so tough to create the results I'm looking for over a 24-month period? I think one of the things is that for a long period of my life, I just had an attitude that things would just work out, that if I made an effort, that it was going to end up with the outcome that I went for, or something near it. And this is really the first time in my life where I put myself out there and we went bigger than ever before. And then that just inherent trust that things are going to work out no matter what didn't work. It didn't work that way because I wasn't the only cog in the wheel, right? There was more people involved and lessons learned. It's kind of difficult to articulate for me, but that's one thing that I've realized about myself is that things must be audited along the way. I've also been hearing a lot lately from multiple people we've had on the podcast to things I've been sent to random things that pop into my mind, music and songs I've heard, is surrender. The morning after Drew was on the episode, he was talking about surrender. He also talked about hearing God through lyrics of songs. And that next morning, I drove to go meet him surfing, and it was early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I was driving, and I said, I just kind of said out loud, God, maybe you can talk to me through song lyrics. Because I have a habit of not actually listening to the lyrics of songs, like finding out way later that a song said this. I listen to like the melody and I feel the beats of the music and I listen to the instruments. But a lot of times when I'm listening to music, I'm so in my own thoughts. I'm not actually listening to and hearing all the words that are said. So anyways, I say that out loud. I let my playlist on Spotify select a random song comes on, and it's basically talking about how all of the prayers that I've been putting out, I've said, but I haven't done the things that I said. Specifically surrender. Like I haven't actually given up my own control and said, you lead the way. And I think that for a long period of my life, I try to control the outcomes of things. And I try to control the perception of the outcome of things. And I've had to learn to let go and accept like reality. And so it's probably one of the failures that I couldn't hide behind the way I delivered it to be perceived, because it is what it is. So I'm talking with you on here now, just really trying to unpackage some of my own thoughts and my own, something that's been on my mind is like, how long is the season? How long's this piece of rope I'm in before things begin to turn, the other direction? And it's not only myself, other people who trust in me and trust in our company, who put their faith and hard work into what we're doing. We all want to see results and we all want to see things scale. And, we're doing a great job for our clients and everyone working with us has been happy. Behind the scenes, it's been difficult to maintain, manage, and keep up with some of the things that we've put out there. So it's like we're authentically delivering for the end user, which is our customer, which has been fantastic. But behind the scenes, keeping up with that has been an act of spinning plates, or almost feeling like you're drowning sometimes, and financially not delivering and providing for us as the owners and some of our employees the way that we want to, right? Thriving is what we're looking for, and sometimes it feels like we're surviving. But we've learned a lot along the way. I've learned like introspectively so much. And so I guess I just want to encourage two things. If you're in a season where it's rough and you don't know why you're in the season, start by recognizing the fact that it's a season. If there's anything that I've taken away that's been such a blessing and so encouraging by doing this podcast, has been that every guest that I have had on here has had a season that they were willing to share that was difficult, that they made it out of the other end a better person because of. And by listening to those stories and getting to ask the questions and unpackage the details and the pain and really understand it, has really given me this belief, or it's not that I gave up on it, but just a reignited confidence to not lose my stride, and to keep pressing forward, because the season will end. There will be times again where it doesn't feel as difficult as it does now. And so I'm not giving up, and I encourage you not to give up, to take a deep breath, to find something you're grateful for, and to press on one more day. Take action on the things that move the needle, and don't get caught up dwelling on the things you absolutely have no control over. I don't fully know yet what does it look like to completely surrender. Every day I seem to be asking myself that question again and again, and peeling away small layers where it's revealed to me, okay, here's an area where you actually, you could surrender. Here's an area where you need to give up on trying to create the outcome. What I've also gained is some perspective, is that beyond the horizon lies the time that things will be difficult again. Because every guest I've interviewed so far has had good times and has had rough times. And so if you're in a good season right now, just know that it is susceptible to getting tough. And don't let it catch you by surprise. Recognize it as it's happening, that it's a time to forge you into something stronger. That the impurities in you, they get extracted through heat. I give this example when I'm officiating a wedding, and I stole it from my pastor who married Libby and I, but I talk about the rings, and in most rings, you have precious jewels, diamonds, and you've got precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, something like that. Diamonds are created under intense pressure over long periods of time. And the metals that we use are melted down and the impurities basically boiled out. And we talk about how going into marriage together, these are a symbol that we've been swept off of our feet and we're taken by someone else. But it also represents that relationship is going to go through some intense pressure and some heavy, melting down and boiling to get the impurities out, but you just become stronger and more pure along the way. I think that resonates here as well. The seasons that we go through can bring the best out of us and can extract the worst out of us. But it has a lot to do with paying attention. Another season, I realized that I didn't know that it was a season until after it happened, but that 6 months of really challenging times, I was tested to reflect back and look at some of the past that, what was a season I was putting other people through? There was a season in my life that I completely took for granted my wife and my kids, because I continued to tell myself the lie that I think a lot of entrepreneurs tell themselves and people with big goals, was that everything I was doing was for them. But yet nothing I was doing was what they asked for. I was gone all the time. I was working, promoting business, going out to events, going to happy hours because I was networking, going to dinners. Everything was about the life that we were going to end up living and what I was going to end up accomplishing, and the financial stability and the wealth that I was going to create, and how it was all going to pay off and be worth it. And then I was in a position where everything I basically had built had crumbled down to having nothing left. And I realized that I could never get that time back. And they were never asking me to build more. The only thing they wanted was more of my time. And I can't get that time back. So the season that I put them through, when I reflected back, allowed me to look and realize that it's not over. There's a lot of time left. But that they're really the most important thing. And so now I'm also really busy, but now it's out of necessity because it's in that tough time and providing is necessary. And I saw a meme the other day. I shared it in my story, and it was saying something to the effect of, I want my kids to remember me as the dad that even though life tried to pull him down, he never gave up and he always kept going. And so that's the season, right now. But I cherish those moments differently. And so I just encourage you, if you're in the good season right now, to really audit how much time do you need to spend continuing to try to gain more when all of that you're looking to gain can evaporate what feels like instantaneously. And the things that can never be taken away are the memories, the relationships, and the times that you infuse. Another season that I lived through, leading up to that really tough season, we went on the road. Some of you who know me, you know that journey, but we lived out of a 45-foot toy hauler trailer for 14 months straight. We traveled from California to Michigan, down to Tennessee, through the Carolinas, down to Florida, followed the Gulf of Mexico all the way to Texas, bounced around Texas, made our way from New Mexico, Rocky Mountains, all the way up to Montana Glacier National Park. From there, we shot over to Washington, and we took Pacific Coast Highway almost all the way back to Southern California. Over that 14 months, the greatest thing that I can pull from that season, it was the first, and to this day, the only period of time that it was truly me, Libby, and my 3 kids. The depth of our relationship increased tenfold. There was no one else to distract our time. There was no one for me to go to happy hour with, no networking event for me to go to. On my end, there was nothing else. It was only us. And for them, there was really only the kids they can meet at the campsites. There was no family to have over and hang out while I was gone and while I was at work. Now, I was working a lot still, but I was right there in that trailer 5 feet away. And so that 14 months was a season where it was unique, and we felt it, and we knew it was only us. And gosh, I encourage, if you've never had that, it's such an amazing thing. And you might not be able to go for 14 months, or maybe you can. We proved we could do it. We picked up everything. We left everything, put stuff in storage, and traveled the country. And we didn't know where we were going more than sometimes we were driving and we didn't even know where our next final destination was. Other times we were booked maybe a month ahead of time. It came with its challenges, but that season, what I take from it is how truly valuable our time and our energy and sharing that same space was together. And so I look back, it's like that famous quote Steve Jobs has, you can't connect the dots moving forward, but only looking back. And I connect the dots, and almost a year and a half, only us. A little visitor here and there. We made friends along the way. We visited family, but ultimately it was us. It was our unit moving from one place to the other. And it was such a time that once I hit this rock bottom feeling of kind of that having to stop and everything I was working on building just feeling like it was in shambles, I had the opportunity to be able to look back on that season and say, that can never be taken away from me. And that experience was more important than anything else. So I don't know exactly when my season's going to end, but I'm in it now. And for the first time being in a season, feeling like I'm authentically present in the season itself, taking the pain, taking the joys, looking up to God, reflecting and asking for guidance. Every other season, I feel like I just kind of lived through it. So I just encourage you, whatever season you're in right now, there is no telling how long that rope is. If it's good, analyze and look and see how you can continue to keep it good. If it's not good, then open your heart up, be in it authentically, feel the pain, feel the gratitude, and look for the doors that need to be opened, or actually look for the doors to be open for you. I think in these seasons there are times to turn to God and to really ask for the doors to be open, because we need clarity. When you're in a tough season, you could try to go open doors, but just every one that opens doesn't mean it's the right one for you. You need clarity. You need doors to be locked and doors to be wide open for you. So that's my thought on seasons. I hope that this gets you to think a little bit more, look beyond the horizon, pay a little bit more close attention to where you're at, and care about the things that matter the most. As I've been doing, I want to close out in prayer. So, Lord, I thank you for the opportunity to get behind this mic and that other people do appreciate this and are getting something out of it. I pray for anybody who's on the other side of this, that you would just tug on their heart and you would help them recognize what really matters. Audit where time is being spent. And every minute away from the things that they treasure the most would be spent so effectively, everything laid on the field, so that at the end of the day, when they're spending the time with those they care about most, they know that every minute they spent away was worth it and truly building for those that they cared about. I ask that we would pay attention, that we don't do things for ourselves and mask them by saying we're doing them for other people who never asked for those things. Let's get closer with our families and the ones that we love and find out truly what does everyone want. And if we're out there working hard, that we're really doing for them what they want and for ourselves what we want, but in the end for you what you call us to do. In Jesus' name, amen.